Welcome back to City Scene. We're inside the City Council chambers. Normally we like to be outside for this kind of thing, but today the environment not so conducive to doing an interview outside, which is kind of ironic if you think about it, because we're talking about the Environmental Advisory Commission. So we thought we'd come inside here because the EAC now meets in the council chambers. You can watch them here on GTV9. Mike Beam, did I get it right?
You did, Steve.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
All right, Steve, thanks.
He's on the EAC, and tell us, first of all, what does the Environmental Advisory Commission do?
Well, we meet monthly, and our role is to advise the City Council on environmental issues.
Well, why did you want to get involved in the EAC?
Well, I'm a faculty member at East Carolina, and another colleague and myself, we were running a honors college seminar on sustainability, and getting some guest speakers. We actually got a couple former EAC committee members, and so there was some openings, and so actually both my colleague Bob Chin and I, we both joined, and just trying to make a difference and seeing that connection between education at ECU and the city. And
is it working for you so far?
Well, one of the interesting things that we accomplished was we have an agreement with the city now and ECU to have a volunteer service learning agreement. This is where students can actually do projects in the community as part of service learning. So it's hopefully a win-win for the community and for the student.
Well, that sounds good. You know, you mentioned that. That kind of ties into what we wanted to talk about anyway. The EAC has grant money to give away to do things like that, right?
It does.
Okay, well, tell us about the EAC grants.
It's a great program for focusing on stormwater. That's the topic. I believe there's been 3 successful grants now in the past 3 years focusing on stormwater. There's $2,500 available. In the past, it was for K through 12 schools within the city limits of Greenville, but now we've opened it to all youth groups. So Boy Scouts,
Girl Scouts,
youth church organizations. It's exciting to kind of open that up. And so as long as the project is in the city of Greenville limits, it should be an eligible project.
So a Boy Scout troop potentially in Winterville, maybe their scoutmaster or committee chair lives in Greenville. The kids are based out of Winterville, but they want to do the project in Greenville. That'll still work, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned kids. You start off with schools, now you got youth groups. Why are you guys targeting kids as opposed to adult groups?
Yeah, I think if you want to change the world, you got to start with children, right? And so I think education around environmental issues is just so important. It's amazing getting the kids involved in some of these projects. And then, of course, as any parent knows, when children come home and they tell you about what's going on in school, the parents also learn as well too. So that's the most exciting thing.
And the kids get in the habit of recycling, and they kind of rat you out and guilt you into recycling too if you're not into it, right?
That's the point. No.
Well, you gotta love that because the change does start early. If you start early on, it'll carry on through life. So
and showing that importance through education and you know, youth groups and schools rallying around a particular project. There's that sense of a community and a cohesiveness. The teachers are excited. So
well, give us an example, if you will, of one of those projects that you talked about. I know Walcoats did one a couple of years ago.
Walcoats did one. They were, I think, 3 years ago. They were looking at water quality in Greensville Run. The current grant is at Ridgewood Elementary School. They're building a rain garden.
Oh, nice.
So the previous year was at J.H. Rose. So we had 2 elementary schools and 1 high school.
So it's wide open now for all the kids.
And it's wide open. Youth groups now, yeah.
And science teachers could get involved. You mentioned $2,500. Is that for one grant, or if you get a couple of different groups that have good ideas, maybe you split it up? Yeah,
we would love to have some great ideas, and so as long as the total doesn't exceed $2,500, if we had 2 grants at $1,250, that would be great.
So this would be a great thing for perhaps the Boy Scouts, since you mentioned that. You know, the Eagle projects, they have to come up with budgets, they have to plan the project management and do all that sort of stuff. If they come up with their little business plan, so to speak, and bring it to you guys, great experience for them, right?
It really is kind of very entrepreneurial. It's setting that budget, looking at the needs, what you're going to need, and then looking at those objectives for the grant and the educational objectives as well.
Now, does the whole EAC decide on who gets the grants, or do you have a subcommittee, or is it the chair, or do you work with the city staff to figure that out, or how's it work?
We do work with city staff to make sure that all the applications are in fact eligible, and then the whole commission reviews those.
Outstanding. So when do you hope they'll start?
They're due on March 20th.
Right.
And so we hope to award the grant in April, at our April meeting.
Cool. All right, we'll track
Yeah.
along the progress there and let people know how things go. How can people get more information, and how can they fill out an application perhaps?
Yeah, all information is online. They can contact the city of Greenville at 329-4467. And again, it's March 20th. That's the due date.
Okay.
So we'd love to see some applications rolling in. If there's any questions about types of projects, brainstorming with ideas, I'd love to come out to your school, to your scout troop, and talk about that.
Outstanding. All right, well, Mike, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Steve.
Good to have you on here, and you can always catch the EAC. Is it the first Thursday of the month?
It is the first Thursday, 5:30.
5:30, right here on GTV 9. See what they're doing, get involved, and we can all help the environment, right?
Thanks, Steve.